And finally, new rule, Catholic conservatives who don't like the Pope have to stop lying about his record. Remember Bob Dole? Stop lying about my record. They talk about the Pope like he's gone rogue. He's off the reservation, inventing his own brand of socialist Christianity. No, he's just quoting Jesus. Sell everything you own and give it to the poor. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. When you give a banquet, invite the poor, even though they cannot repay you. And of course, here, have a fish. I made enough for everyone. That's not a real one. Because let's face it, Republicans, this is not really the face that best reflects your party's values. This is. Yes, by now, most of you have probably heard the story of Martin Shkreli, the 32-year-old financial wondershit and Massengill spokesman who bought the rights to a life-saving drug called Daraprim, which is used by AIDS sufferers, cancer patients, and infants, and then jacked up the price of a single pill from $13.50 to $750. Even Ticketmaster was like, oh, come on. I'd say, how do you sleep? But I guess you just hang upside down in your cave. And now that Shkreli is, not that Shkreli is unusual for the pharmaceutical industry. 15 years ago, cancer drugs cost an average of $10,000 a year. Now it's $10,000 a month, because this cartel owns the U.S. government every bit as much as Mexican drug lords own theirs. And to all the conservatives who still parrot the line that Obamacare is a government takeover, please then explain why guys like Martin Shkreli are still calling the shots. He's not a bureaucrat who works for the government. He's a hedge fund manager who works for the devil. And here's his rationale.
And if there's a company that was selling an Aston Martin at the price of a bicycle, and we buy that company, and we ask to charge Toyota prices, I don't think that should be a crime.
Yeah, except that owning an Aston Martin is not a matter of life and death. I mean... At least until it's bought by Volkswagen. And the fact that this story played out last week during a papal visit exposed just how little these so-called Christians of the far right believe in what Jesus actually said. How could they? There is not a tent in the world big enough to fit under it both Jesus and Ayn Rand. In order to be both Republican and Christian, they had to create an entirely new Jesus. We don't only have two Americas, we have two Jesuses now. It's true. Liberals have the traditional Jesus who hated rich assholes and wouldn't shut up about how they should give away all their money. And conservatives made up a completely new Jesus, a small businessman from Galilee. Whose main gripe is big government and who wants to make Nazareth great again. I call him supply-side Jesus. Oh my God. He'd love to help the less fortunate, but he's got investors to think about. Like the time supply-side Jesus performed a miracle and created a bounty of loaves and fishes, and then gave them all to the top 1% so they could trickle down to the takers. Or the time supply-side Jesus came upon a leper who asked to be healed. So supply-side Jesus bought the company that makes leprosy medication and jacked up the price. Jesus may have said it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. But it was supply-side Jesus who said, "Did I ever tell you about the time I shot a camel?" In conclusion, I would just like to say that Donald Trump is actually the perfect candidate for today's Republicans because he says, he does, that his two favorite books are the Bible and The Art of the Deal. Trump says one is about a perfect God who teaches humanity the right way to live, and the other is the Bible.